Alright, so the other day I got to play against MegaCapitalG on his live stream. I was actually the first person he played that day, so that was pretty cool. And I play my familiar possessed Performage deck that I took to regionals. I did a deck profile on it, so I recommend checking that out if you haven't seen it. I opened up a kind of an awkward hand, but I can still work with it. I drew a familiar possessed, which is not good, and then Unpossessed, which is decent, but he MST'd it right there, you can see. And then Mistake, which I, I don't know how useful it's going to be at this point. I don't really know what he's playing. I'm recording the commentary at this point, by the way, because I couldn't record it live. My roommate was watching TV, so yeah. Anyways, you can see here he's playing vampires because he banished one for the allure. So at this point I'm reading either Robin Goblin, Goblin Zombie. Yes, that one. Or the turtle thing. And so the turtle thing I can kill with Regeki, and it is the turtle, Pyramid Turtle. And he wouldn't have gotten the effect if I killed it with Regeki. But the problem was, if it had been the Goblin Zombie, he still gets the effect when I Regeki, so it would have been a wasted Regeki. At this point, though, I can just use Regeki during main phase 2 if I need to, depending on what he summons. So yeah, I figured that this was the best play, just attacking first, and then using Regeki main phase 2 if I needed to. So he ends up summoning the Unizombie, which he can use to send a Mizuki to the grave, and I don't want to let him do that, so I do end up burning my Regeki on that. Yeah. So I'm in a decent position. I basically just have Nodin plays, and that's it, because of my instant fusion. This is Riff in the comments. So I'd say that he has the upper hand at this point in the game. I haven't managed to make up the +1 that he got for going second. But he clearly doesn't have any plays, which is good for me. I drew a Gigabyte, so I can just summon that and attack with both, and I don't have to worry about overextending into a Triple Tribute or anything, because Gigabyte floats in this case. And also Nodin can help me recover if he does have answers, but he doesn't, and I get both my attacks in. That's quite a bit of damage at this point, so that's pretty sweet. I'm in a pretty good position, and I can go for a King of the Feral Imps here. There's not really anything else that's worth going for. If I can get the effect off with King of the Feral Imps, I can replace the Gigabyte and then have a play for next turn. I detached the Familiar Possessed Win, which actually I think is a mistake at this point, because if I needed to Emerald my monsters back for the Unpossessed trap, if I ran out, if the game ended up going that long, I should say, then I would want to have them in my grave, but putting it in grave right now puts Win at risk of getting banished by Book of Life, which obviously I knew about beforehand. I just really wasn't thinking when I detached. So I get the Gigabyte. He doesn't have a response. He took a while to answer, but he was probably like queuing up music. He does that in the middle of games and stuff. So he just said something. So once again, I'm thinking either Pyramid Turtle or the zombie thing. I think about he might have Mind Crush, so I hesitate a little bit about using my effect right away to search. But then I think, no, he would have used Mind Crush when I drew for turn if he had it to pitch my Gigabyte. He says it's good. I didn't even bother waiting for him to say it was good at that point, because I knew he didn't have a response. He would have used it last turn if he did. I go for my Instant Fusion play, and he pitches a Max C, which is problematic. So I want to go Instant Fusion, Nodin, and then Nodin to make Abyss Dweller, and then I can safely attack over his monster. But if I use Nodin to special summon and then summon Abyss Dweller, he gets a +2 off of his Max C. And if I do destroy his monster successfully, it's +1 for me. He still ends up +1 in the end. So I think if I want to use the effect, and I end up deciding that it would be better to actually not use the effect and to just normal summon a Gigabyte and make a Abyss Dweller. I think I basically have to use the Nodin for Exceed this turn because otherwise it's just destroyed and I get nothing out of it. And I don't want it to just I don't want to leave the monster on the board. I want to deal with it. And I feel like if I make a Abyss Dweller, pretty much anything he could be playing in zombies, I can safely deal with that. Also, Abyss Dweller leaves a good presence on board for his next turn. I decided to go to battle phase to use the effect just in case he has effect failure. I do not think he has effect failure though. Yeah, I attack first with Abyss Dweller to just get more damage in. I don't think anything he plays has more than 2,000 defense, and Abyss Dweller is at 2,200. Oh yeah, and I say haha. He said the max C is a bluff. I was totally worried about playing around it, and it was just a max C. So he's got no response to that. So I don't really have any traps unless he ends up trying to search, which is kind of awkward. Abyss Dweller is kind of a trap though, I guess. But so far he's not had any plays. But this turn he decides to go off, I guess. He activates Book of Life. He banishes the Gigabyte, which is kind of a mistake, I think. He probably wasn't really thinking about which one to banish. That's also kind of why I didn't use my Foolish Burial last turn, by the way. I wanted to not have whatever I sent to the grave banished. So I wasn't planning on using anything I could dump immediately because everything would special summon. So yeah, I didn't want to dump anything just to get it banished. So he ends up going for the Unizombie so he can dump a Mizuki from his deck and make the Unizombie level 4. I should probably activate my Abyss Dweller immediately, but I didn't. And then he ends up just going for a 101. So instead of using my Abyss Dweller, I just let him use the 101's effect to target my Abyss Dweller first, and then I chain to the 101. And that way he can't use his Mizukis this turn. It puts him in kind of an awkward position because he can't attack over the King of the Feral Imps with his 101. Yeah, 101's not big enough to deal with both my monsters, which are both currently bigger than him. So it's kind of awkward for him. Yeah, and I got a little bit ahead of the gameplay with the commentary there. So, I don't think he managed this in the other place. Oh yeah, he has another Book of Life, I think, and he activates that right here, I believe. But he can't use the Mizuki's in Grave, so he's kind of limited because of that. I think he could probably go for a bigger play if he could have used the Mizuki's. Yep, there's the Book of Life. He ends up banishing the other Gigabyte, I think, which I don't really care. And he special summons a Pyramid Turtle, which, okay, he hasn't done it yet, but he's going to summon the Pyramid Turtle, which is probably a good play. It's good defense because if I destroy it by battle, he summons another one. So on my turn, I basically have to try to destroy it without destroying by battle. And he plays the Vampire Kingdom field spell, which is actually problematic because it prevents me from using my Foolish Burial to make a play. Right here, what I'm thinking is I want to go for Trish with Glow Bulb because I want to banish his Pyramid Turtle and also an engraved Mizuki and then another card in hand just in case he has something to stop me. And if I do go for Trish this turn, I win. So first I need to get rid of his Vampire Kingdom so I can use my Foolish. So I special summon both the Hat Tricker and the Gigabyte. I summon those two first instead of going for Nodin because those are both inherent special summons and he can't chain Max C. I didn't think he would have the third, but just in case, that's the order I played it in. So I went for Cassell so I could spin the field spell back to his deck. And with that gone, I can just go for my Foolish play or my Instant Fusion play. I end up going for the Instant Fusion play first just to see if he has Max C. Then I can maybe change my play. Obviously that's the wrong order if your opponent's playing Retaliating C, but nobody would main deck that. So he didn't have a Max C, and my Nodin brings back whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then I go for my Foolish to send my Glow Bulb. Um, yeah, I have to try to find it. It's right at the top. So send that. Use that effect. He clearly has no responses at this point. He would have used something already, I think. Okay, milled nothing. Doesn't really matter. Go for Trish. And does he have a response? I say effect, and nope, no response. So banish the Pyramid Turtle, banish Mizuki, and then I just banish the middle one. It doesn't really matter because it's random. It takes a little while to banish the Pyramid Turtle. Yeah. And at this point, unless he has a Gores, no, not even Gores, he would need like a Swift Scarecrow or a Damage Juggler. He would need something to stop me during the battle phase, basically. Because those two together do 800 damage, which puts him down to 1550, which is obviously less than Castel, so Castel attacking directly is game. And he doesn't have a response. And no point building up the suspense, I don't think. He takes a little while to admit defeat here. He was probably distracted. Once, like I said earlier, he gets busy with the stream. So the mistake ended up being totally useless. Not too much of a surprise against vampire zombie deck, I don't think. I'm not super familiar with the deck, but so that was cool playing against MegaCapitalG. First time I've played against one of the bigger YouTubers in a match, and I think sometimes he has issues with not actually reading cards, which leads him to make the wrong plays. But in general, I think he's a pretty solid player, and he's definitely a lot better than a lot of the guys I watch on YouTube. I enjoy watching his videos myself. So it was cool to play against him. He used a pretty bad deck, though. The Vampires is not the best deck. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to check out some other stuff.